Get some light in here.
You are the light of my life, Keith.
Thanks.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay.
Cool.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty chill. Been a busy week, busy weekend. We had a wine festival from in Groningen. I'm looking for a bottle opener, by the way. Why the fuck? I always have a bottle opener right next to me, and now I don't. I'm gonna quickly grab a bottle opener. Sorry, I'll be right back. Just give me 2 seconds, okay?
Okay. He says he wants to do a live stream, and then he immediately goes away.
But yeah, that was pretty busy, but it was fun. It's like what?
Nothing.
Did you see my butt crack?
No.
Oh, good. What were you laughing about?
Oh, because when you walked away, I said he wanted to do a live stream, and he immediately walks away.
I got back like really fucking quickly. I'll tell the guys, by the way, that we're doing it live just in case they want to join.
Oh, all right. If you want to.
Okay, I won't. Jesus, you're such a... Nothing.
Here, you want me to wear the hat for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the hat. I love the hat.
I know.
Oh, as somebody wants you to introduce yourself. Somebody in the chat goes like, "Hello, Thomas and."
Oh, I'm Keith from 93 Lumber.
He's American.
Yeah. I'm taking one of these out because I can't hear myself.
That's okay. Yeah, that I have that problem with. Oh man, that's some dirty glassware. I have the same issue with those earplugs as well. You gotta love Douglas. He is Frederick Durst.
Hey, Douglas. How are you doing, Douglas?
Good? What's up, Dougie? What's up, Dougie? We got Steven saying, "Can you still hear me?" By the way,
I can.
Yeah, okay, good. I just switched something around. Oh man, I'm so confused. I want to say something, and this is my finest hour, isn't it? I don't know if many people know this, but Keith is like a huge Limp Bizkit fan. He's like limping on the track with the Method.
You can say that.
Back in it. Yeah. Is that actually like a legit same cap as Fred used to wear? Maybe still. No.
I got this thing like 12 years ago.
It suits you. It suits you.
Thanks.
Yeah. What are you drinking?
A Fiden's beer.
Wait, let me put you in
their teacher's pet.
Let me put you in solo. Teacher's pet. Pale ale. Does it say anything about like hops use and everything?
Yes. Citra and Nelson.
Oh, I like that. I like Nelson.
It's nice. Fiden's is actually what?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to ask something, but go ahead.
I've had some pretty good things from Fiden's lately. It's making me not hate IPAs as much, but I still don't prefer them.
Agreed. Which is kind of by the way funny. Keith was not aware when we set this up that I was gonna name the live stream "Fuck IPAs" anyway. But yeah, so he's drinking a pale ale right now. Love American. We got Adam chiming in, like IPAs, with unpopular opinion. New England style pale ale is better than. I actually agree with that. How about you?
Yeah.
Is it me? Limp Bizkit. Yep. Is it me or is I've been jonesing about getting some new beers, browsing some web shops and seeing what new releases are out there, and I see stuff coming in at work as well. Like what can I order for the shop? Is it just IPAs lately, or is that me? Maybe that's why I wanted to call, because it's like every drop, every new release, it's like 85% IPAs, pale ales, double IPAs.
Yeah.
It's like it's all hoppy ales and some fruited sours. Is that the only thing people are brewing these days?
Well, I'll give you an anecdotal. I'll give you some anecdotal evidence.
I like that.
Yesterday I was out,
Yeah.
and I was around a brewery that I won't name the brewery because my experience was not that great. But
Hey, dude. Oh no, I was about to say this is on your channel as well. That's American, because otherwise I was going to say nobody's going to see it because name and shame. But
oh yeah, I was out. I went to a brewery that I haven't been to in a really long time, and their draft list, like 3/4 of it were canned pours, not actually on draft.
what?
And about 90, I would say, like probably like 98%. I think there was one Imperial Stout, I think it was. There was one West Coast IPA, and then I think there was like a milk stout or something. Other than those three, everything else was a IPA, double IPA, triple IPA, or some sort of sour ale with
Right.
fruit and whatever. And there were probably about 20 different things. So 20-ish.
And that's my point. That's my point. So fuck it. That's so I maybe sort of subconsciously, not very subconsciously. That's the reason I called it that, because I'm so fucking tired. I mean, I don't mind IPAs. I enjoy IPAs, and like actually Adam just said, pale ale, maybe even over IPA, right? But what is it with this, just this saturation at this point with all the fucking hoppy stuff? It's just getting a little bit annoying. And then this is funny because we got. Oh wait, I'll go to this first as well. A Glen Elgin, 13 year. That's nice. That's good stuff. That's actually for a 13-year-old. That's a decent ABV. It could have been a little bit higher, but
What is that?
A Glen Elgin is a single malt at 13 years old at
Glen
52.9% ABV. I mean, it's still a decent. If it's cast strength, you'd expect it to maybe be a little bit higher at 13% at 13 years old, but it's a decent actually.
Cast
nice.
strength?
Yeah.
Usually cast strength is like what, like 60?
Oh,
It's at least like 60 something, isn't it?
It really depends. It depends on, of course, the ABV in which it went in the barrel, which will usually be. Oh, dude! I'll just quickly. What's up, dude?
Whoa!
How you doing, Kyle? How you
Come on,
doing?
guys.
You are the last person that I would
Want to see?
well,
but-
yeah, that too. That would like randomly pop onto a live stream.
I just thought about it. I'm like, I don't remember the last time I was on StreamYard for anything. It has not worked out. But yeah, right now I just did a beer review and no one's home. And I'm like, wait, I don't have any responsibilities at this moment. I can jump on. So, and then I saw the name and I'm like, because I just reviewed an 8-year-old Dogfish Head 120-minute quadruple IPA, whatever you want to call that beer. So
that actually does sound interesting, but I do understand actually why Kyle is here, Keith. When you think about it, the dude's a teacher and it's Sunday, and he knows what's coming up for tomorrow, and he needs to get his fucking drink on. He better load up right now, so he can get away with it during. At least his Monday will be semi forgotten at the end of the day because nothing registered. I mean,
basically, yeah.
I have a few teachers. I've had a few teachers in my life during my 41 years as in an adult, so not as a teenager, as an adult, and I've got some behind the scene glimpses on what it's like being a teacher. And I get it, dude. Get your drink on, get fucking hammered, and have that garlic smell at work tomorrow, which makes people go like, "What happened yesterday?" And you're just like, "Hell, garlic." You know what I mean?
It's more, honestly, it's just more, oh, we're not working on this freaking back porch project that's taken, I don't know, 10 times longer than I thought it would. But anyway, I don't want to talk about that.
It's because you're drinking on every Sunday evening. That's why you're not getting it done, man.
That's not why, but I'm not going to go on film to say the real reason, because not that my wife watches this stuff. Oh, it's not too much.
Well, how you guys doing? Okay, anyway.
What's up with you guys? Or were you guys going to go through the comments? I don't want to interrupt your flow, what you guys were just doing.
Well, we're just talking about cast strength. We'll get finish that one, and then we'll get to the rest of the comments when we can chat. But anyway, it depends on what ABV went into the cast, which will usually be somewhere between 65 and 70%, give or take. It's
obviously, I was just speaking from like my experience. Like all the cast strength stuff that I've seen is, I think the lowest one that I've seen is like 64%.
No, but that's why it's a fair point, because at 13 years old, with like average cask quality, I would have expected it to be around maybe like 56, 57. So it just it just means that the cask, the barrel, was a little bit more porous. But that doesn't actually say anything about the quality. Now, let's say you have like a 13-year-old cask strength whiskey, cask strength whiskey at like 13-year-old, and it comes in at 48%. You might want to get a little bit worried, because it might be a little bit too porous. But it depends. It's all good. It's all good as long as it was tasty. And I probably was.
That wasn't me being like, oh, cask strength should be at least 70%, or else it's not worth the money, or it sucks or whatever.
But that
was more of just me not knowing that cask strength was really like under 60%.
Oh, it can be, yeah, definitely. Maybe in the bourbon world, I don't know. Maybe in the bourbon world, it's a little bit different. Barrel proof, I don't know. I don't know that much about bourbons. I love bourbons. I love a good rye, but my knowledge of them.
I might also be confusing something with something else now that I think about it.
Could be.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Kyle, what is your opinion on cask strength?
I'm still learning.
Okay, good.
Yes, that's what I should have said.
So the teacher is actually a student. Wow, go figure.
Oh yes. Never stop learning.
So how's life, Kyle? How's the Porsche project going?
Everything in my life except that is great. I think we figured out we were having a hard time screwing we're using not real wood, we're using composite material, and I think we figured out the trick with the screws. So hopefully it will go much smoother.
Is it that Tech Track or whatever it's called?
It's a different brand, but yeah, I think we're using Timber Tech is the brand. But yeah, so I think we figured it out, and so it should be pretty good. The weather hasn't cooperated much. It's been rainy the last 2 days also, which hasn't helped. So, but yeah, it is what it is. What are you guys drinking? Have you guys talked about that?
You go first, because that's
nice, Keith. Do you like that, Keith?
Yes.
Yeah, I really like. I think that they did a good job with that one.
I was telling Thomas just a few minutes ago that I'm not completely on the IPA bandwagon thing with stuff, but Fiden's a couple of the ones that you gave me and a couple of the ones that I got while we were there have opened my eyes a little bit to
Yeah, I saw that you liked their rose, which I also quite like. And that, like I told you in person, that Teacher's Pet that you're drinking now was my favorite pale ale I had last year, actually. So yeah, I quite like that.
Teacher enjoying a pale ale called Teacher's Pet.
The head brewer of Fiden's used to be a teacher, so yeah, there's some teacher things in there. How about you, Thomas? What are you drinking?
Is it all?
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead, Keith.
I was just going to ask because I got this one. I bought this one myself when we were there, and then you gave me one that was called Proper Education.
Yeah.
Are all their pale ales education.
Oh, maybe because I think they have one called Grade 10. That's a pale ale. I didn't think about that. Maybe that's something that they
Oh, come on.
do.
Somebody needs to Google this now.
That's
Now I need to know
interesting.
this. I'll Google it in a moment. I'll Google it.
I'll look it up and then. But I am curious what you're drinking, Thomas.
So, getting back to one of the comments, that's fun because it's related to what I'm drinking. At some point, Adam said, Mercy Beers, Adam said, this month it's all fest beers. I was complaining a little bit earlier about like old drops, older releases. It's all like fucking IPAs these days. Everything is IP fucking A, and I'm getting really fucking tired of it. But then Lidl here. Do you guys get Lidl? Lidl, the grocery shop, the supermarket. You got.
There's one. I think the closest one to me is like an hour and a half, maybe, unless there's a different one somewhere. But they're few and far between, but they do exist over here.
And you have Aldi as you do have Aldi, right?
Yeah,
I think I've heard that. Yeah, so it's sort of like in a similar strain, and they have these theme weeks every week where they sell stuff. And like 2 weeks ago, it was Oktoberfest, and they had a box of 10 German fest beers for like 20 euros. Now I think dollar and euro are sort of the same right now, so it's 10 half-liter bottles of Madsen's fest beer, stuff like that, for $20. So I'm fucking ecstatic. And this is Irrbaches Premium Gauboden Volksfestbier. So basically, it's just gebraut mit unserer Gauboden Braugäste aus eigener Land. I'm not gonna bore you with that. Anyway, it's a fest beer, 5.6% ABV, and it makes me fucking happy because honestly, Keith earlier on mentioned that he wanted to get some fest beers, and there were so many choices that he didn't get any. I've mentioned this before. I live 15 kilometers from the German border. I hardly get any German fest beers here in the Netherlands. It's not a thing here. You guys are much more loaded with fest beers than I am.
Yeah, I mean most of them are like local brewery fest beers and such. They're not like they're not all German or imported beers, but yeah.
Anyway, but that's what I'm drinking.
Sorry, I just commented to Vanessa, and I didn't realize that I can't. It didn't say. It said that you guys said what I typed. Sorry.
That's because that's because you're part of the entire StreamYard, and because you're logged in, it automatically sees you as.
Yeah, I just didn't want people to think you guys said that. I'm the history teacher. I didn't want. I'm not gonna. I won't type anything more because I want people. I don't want to put words in your guys' mouths unintentionally. Sorry.
Well, maybe we like it when you put words in our mouths. Have you ever considered that, Kyle? Huh? No, you didn't.
No,
you?
never.
You just made an assumption. You just made an assumption there.
You're right. I've literally never thought about if you guys would want me to treat you like puppets where I speak. Yes, I've never. Yeah.
No, that's not something people really think about. Have you Googled the
Yeah, I did. I looked up the Fiden's Pale Ales. They have named them non-education things, but I am wondering as they've honed in if maybe that's a new thing where they are doing that because they, yeah, I'm wondering. But yeah, let's get some more comments.
IPAs are here to stay. Get used to it. I will never get fucking used to that.
No, it's so like I don't think. Hold on, let me just address that for a second.
Yeah.
It's not that IPAs shouldn't exist. It's they really need to make room for other people or other beers, rather, not people.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. If I go to a brewery, I want a lager usually I go. And I was, before you came on, Kyle, I was telling Thomas that I went to a brewery yesterday that I haven't been to in some years, and like 3/4 of their draft list was can pours. They weren't draft. And then
I have a question about that. Remind me that I want to ask about that.
Yeah, all of them. There was one Imperial Stout, one West Coast style IPA, and then there was a some sort of like milk stout or something. But out of like the 20-ish things that they had available, other than those 3 things, everything else was an IPA, double IPA, triple IPA, or a fruited sour of some sort. So it was like they didn't have any.
And I'm assuming, by the way,
or-
not like a classic, like a fruited goza or like a Berliner Weisse, but
No.
like the
Yeah.
smooth, the smoothie sours, basically, right? Yeah. See, fuck that bullshit.
And I should have, like, I don't go to that place because they do a lot of that stuff. So like I really should have known. But usually even the breweries that do a lot of that stuff, you go and they have like 1 or 2 lagers on. They have a couple other things. But yeah.
I have an interesting idea, concept thing I want to mention in a bit. But the question I have is about the can pours, right? So usually when you go to like a tap room, like belonging to a brewery, you can get like you can get like a flight. You can get like smaller glasses, bigger glasses. You can get like a pint. You can get like a 25 centiliter or something like that. So how does that work when you do can pour? So if you're like, I just want like a flight, do they just have like open cans ready for other people to pour out of, or are you forced to buy the whole can? Because I'm assuming a lot of cans will be American pints, but you just want like half of that. So are you forced to order a whole can, even if you would prefer to have something less?
I don't know if they do. I don't think they do flights there. They have like a small, like, I don't know, 7-ounce pour or 8-ounce pour or something, and then they have a 14-ounce pour. But I don't think they do flights, and I don't know. I assume they do small pours of the cans, but I don't know how that works.
Yeah, but that would be so fucking. Yeah,
I got a session IPA. I got a 14-ounce session IPA, and yeah, I don't know what they do with those 2 ounces. I don't. and I paid like half the price of a 4-pack for that pour. So it's weird that they wouldn't just like give you the can.
Yeah, I can fully understand. I can fully understand that if I go to a tap room and I order a 25 cl, like half a liter, a quart of a liter, half of this bottle, right? And I order one of their glasses, like that size, knowing fully well that would be a little bit more expensive than actually buying one of their 11.2 ounce cans. I'm okay with that because I'm going to the brewery and I'm supporting the gastronomy factor of it. You know, the support staff, the wait staff, all of that stuff. I'm paying for that, so it's okay. But paying the price of half a 4-pack for less than 1 can, and I'm leaving a little bit of that can. Wait. This is just getting funnier, isn't it?
When I saw it pop up, it says not Mike. That cracked
exactly. Same thing. I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to say 2 things. First of all, Dan, that's an awesome T-shirt. Second of all, if you leave before the stream ends and you fucking dare to hit that end stream button again, I am coming over and I will probably give you a hug at the end. But anyway,
I will try not to.
I will try. No, but this, I don't know if you remember, Kyle, but we talked about this.
Like, I just want to get you here, so I'll end a live stream if it gets you to the US. Yeah, okay. I'll do it right now. Let's see how I do that.
Yeah, and I miss fucking Beer Tuber Palooza. There you go. No, but I want to ask a few questions about that. But anyway, that's pretty weird. I don't get that. I'm going to quickly go through a few comments because basically there's a little bit of Dutch going on here, but it's Dutch Beer Geek Gerben and Tortoise, which is Steven, they're talking about some IPAs from a brewery here, Valhalla. So that's cool. Oh, nice Pilsner. Adam chiming in. I'm on a Diet Coke today as I was at a new brewery yesterday with young Peter, aka Coolest Drinker, aka Casual Smokers Collective, with a free 125-pound bar tab.
Wow.
Fuck that. That is okay.
For just beer, no food.
I'm assuming just beer, but Adam can chime in on that. Vanessa, of course, saying hi. Stephen commenting on the ABV, saying that okay. He's talking about we were talking about ABVs on whiskey. There is no rule about cask strength percentage, the ABV of a cask strength and age. There's no linear progression on that. It so much depends on the cask. So it can go so many ways. Vanessa saying math teacher. New York apparently has 6 littles. There you go. Little by little, they're taking over. No takers. Okay.
No.
The one I'm thinking of is in Pennsylvania. So,
looks like they're all around New York City. The New York ones, I mean.
Well, that makes kind of sense because if you want to get your name out, you go to like a densely populated area and just you start from there, and then. But I didn't think you guys had a little yet. I knew you had Aldi. Vanessa, I always talk about math at some point. The one thing I do know is that Kyle, you're a history teacher. There is one thing that I know that a lot of English teachers always say. I'm an English teacher. You do the math. I've never met an English teacher that is good at math and good with numbers.
Good line.
Adam say the brewery I went to yesterday don't brew a lager, but one of the guest beers. I want to get to the guest beer in a moment. Adam also saying if you do mainly can pours, then you're not a proper brewery tap. You're a ratchet brewery. Comments?
What? Dan, what are you drinking? Sorry, I just saw him pour something.
Sorry, Dan.
In honor of the name of the stream, I had to be here to represent the IPA. So
I'm going to mute you for a moment. And
this is from the Underground Beer Lab. They're out of Syracuse.
Yeah.
And this is their shifting hypothesis. I believe it's hopped with Mosaic, Idaho 7, and Mosaic Cryo.
Okay. Nice.
I've heard good things. I haven't tried their stuff yet.
I just picked them up from AJ's Beer Warehouse in Henrietta. Someone recommended them, and they had some. I picked up a can of each. So far, pretty good. I mean, it's, decent stuff. I enjoy this because it has moderate bitterness. It's not just your sweet, juicy, kind of hazy. So
I appreciate that in a decent IPA. I appreciate that because I think of
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's you're not interrupting. There's always a little bit of lag, and sometimes two people start talking at the same time, but they're not talking at the same. But go ahead, man.
I was just going to ask because it said hazy IPA. And I don't know. Are hazy IPAs the same as New England style IPAs, or is there a difference? Or
there is a difference.
Because I feel like there is a gradient of quote unquote hazy IPAs, but
there is a difference. Or tiers of hazy IPAs or something. I don't know. So it has to do with the following. 2 or 3 years ago, it was right when COVID became a little bit bigger. So there was this local brewery, Bucks. I've mentioned them before in streams, and I left these guys. They did this thing where they brewed 2 IPAs, and it was called Splendid Isolation because we had to go in isolation, and they wanted to do something bigger with it, but they went, you know what, we're going to change it a little bit. We're going to call it Splendid Isolation. Malt bill, all the same. Hops, exactly the same. Because a lot of people think that creating a West Coast IPA, you need to, put a lot of citrus, Simcoe in there, go heavy on the Mosaic, go for that classic shit, get all the earthy, danky notes in it from Simcoe and Mosaic, get a little bit tropical and citrus stuff from Mosaic and Citra and everything. That's not true. It depends on the two biggest things are yeast, or actually three things: yeast. That makes sense. A lot of people know this. Water treatment, because even though water is just water, there is additives to water. The chemical actual
Minerals.
makeup. It's not just H2O, but it's more like minerals and stuff like that. And saline content, for example. Like there's always going to be a little bit all this stuff. Then it's also when exactly do you add your hops to things like the boil, the whirlpool, the dry hopping. All these things will have an effect on your ultimate beer. So long story short, the experiment was same hops, same malts, play around with the yeasts and the water treatment, create two completely different beers with what most people consider the same ingredients, which is where the fun of beer comes in. I just had a wine festival where we were at last weekend with a stand. This is why I'm craving live stream and drink beer, because wine is fun, but not beer. Wine is just one ingredient. It's a grape. And of course, terroir and everything, and you can blend with several grapes. But that is what makes beer so interesting. There's a lot of chemistry involved. There's so many things you can do with just the 4 core ingredients, let alone adjuncts and stuff. It just shows the genius behind it. And this is the only thing that I really actually appreciate about IPAs is you can play around a lot. So it is a little bit more complicated. So you can get, if you want to, you can actually get a hazy West Coast, which is actually what Adam is now saying. All New Englands are hazy, which, by the way, I've had beers labeled New England IPA, and they were so clear, or at least like only semi-hazy, that you can just look at them and they're like sort of like a little bit turbid, but not actually hazy. You just know whatever you're going to drink, even though it might be yummy, it's not going to be an actual New England. So there you go.
I do think, but aren't West Coast style IPAs more malty and sweeter in the malty kind of way?
So like the caramel sort of caramel malt, yeah, that's what they definitely should lean towards. So if you get like an overtly tropical fruit juice sweetness from the West Coast, that's where I go. Like, are you a real proper West Coast?
Mm-hmm.
And I think let's be fair. I mentioned this in some of my reviews, and I know that even if you would put the annotations on, like the CCs and everything, it was, I believe, Mike from NerdSense, and of course Sean. They sent me the beer mail together with Matt, and it had Heady Topper and Focal Banger. If you go to like what is considered by most people to be the 2 OGs of what New England style IPAs are, it's completely fucking different from what we call New England style IPAs these days.
Well, those are like the old school, like the
yeah,
OG.
Exactly. They're OG. They're the OG, but that's what was considered back then. I mean, it's been that long, like back then when Heady Topper came out for the first time. But that was considered a New England style IPA. By today's standard, it would be considered way too bitter for a New England style IPA.
Yeah.
And not hazy enough for a New England style IPA. So,
I find it like I mentioned this like with Kyle's video, but like we received some beers from West Coast, and their hazies seem to be infinitely more bitter than like the East Coast, like your other halves, your Fidens, like the North Park's Green Cheeks, like they just have a lot more bitterness to them, which I respect. So it's like this hybrid of like they took like the East Coast Juicy Boy and like just meshed it with that West Coast bomb, and that's what you got. Like I don't mind it. It's
Are you guys getting beers that are being labeled, sold, identified as no coast? Which is sort of what you're describing, sort of in between a West Coast and because we have been seeing that pop up here and there. People calling this a no coast IPA.
I mean,
Haven't there been ones that are labeled like Midwest IPAs or something because they're like
Maybe
in the
that's what they're
middle?
calling it in the States.
It's something. I don't think it's that, but I think there is something. I think I've seen something like that.
I would say. Oh, sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, as far as like Monkish and North Park, they just call them hazy IPAs. They don't. As far as the ones I've had, I haven't had them say, like Midwest or whatever. Like they have West Coast or hazy.
Yeah, but is that just trying to rebrand something that already exists, just to sell it again? It's like we went from the IPL to the cold IPA. You know what I mean? It's like same shit, different day. There might be some subtle nuances when it comes to the process, but at the end of the day, what you want is like a crispy boy that's very hoppy. That's the end result. So people were like, okay, IPLs aren't selling anymore. Let's call them something different. So maybe at some point, yeah.
Did they change the names, but they're still lagers?
Well, that's the thing.
They're not lagers.
Well, as far as I know, cold IPAs can be brewed with higher fermenting yeast. I've been seeing different things about people approaching it differently as well. That people brewing them differently. Some are brewing them as like IPLs. Others are using like the Baltic Porter thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes I stumble over my words, but if I say like the Baltic, you guys know what I mean, right? Applying, for example, higher fermenting yeast, but with cold temperatures, or maybe the other way around. Fuck around a little bit, Yeah. Anyway, it feels like just marketing. It just all feels like marketing and reinventing something that exists to make people buy the same product. And maybe that's my pet peeve with IPAs. There's nothing new or innovative about them anymore. It's just the same shit, different day. And people are, go look at any given, you guys don't really get web shops that sell beers. You have to find other ways. But if I check a web shop and people are like, this is our new and innovative and completely out of the box thinking IPA, and all I'm seeing is like same fucking hops just listed in a different order, and it's always like verdant yeast or what's the other one? Yeah, like for example, that it's all London Fog is a very popular one for the hazy. So all those same yeasts. It's wheats, it's oats. It's so wheat heavy, it's so oat heavy to create the ultimate mouthfeel, and maybe.
A couple of thoughts. One, Thomas, your English is better than most American citizens' English, so never apologize for tripping over words.
Oh no, that's my ADHD. That's just fucking ADHD.
I've been speaking English as long as I can speak in an English-speaking country, and I think you speak better English than I do. The Midwest thing for me, the Midwest IPA, this is interesting because I never thought about the difference between a hazy and a New England style IPA, but it does make so much sense. I've had plenty of hazy IPAs that I wouldn't say checked all the boxes a New England style IPA should check. So it's very interesting to me. The Midwest IPA, to me, it's almost like somewhere between the West Coast morphing into what becomes New England style. Whereas, like what Dan was saying about some of these breweries,
Say that again. How did you say that?
Like going. I don't want to say they all taste like Heady Topper or Focal Banger, but like it's more. They're somewhere in the middle of the original West Coast IPA and what becomes New England style IPAs. Yeah. To me, that's more what a Midwest IPA is. Yeah. Whereas some of these West Coast breweries like Monkish and Green Cheek are kind of just adding the bitterness back into New England style IPAs, So like I wouldn't use Midwest IPA and these West Coast breweries adding back a good amount of bitterness to everything else is totally New England style IPA. I wouldn't use those as synonyms. I wouldn't say they're the same style. To me, those are two different things. And it's funny, Thomas, because what you're saying, I've been talking about it in a few reviews myself lately, where there's like a checklist or I call it paint by numbers, where you have the ceiling where breweries can only make a New England style IPA so good. So yeah, your other half, Spidens, Treehouse, whatever. And and I love those and I want those, but then sometimes it's cool when a brewery does something that's a little different. So it's like still checking most of those boxes. And then, yeah, whether it's a new hop or just, they added a little bit more bitters or something, it's like, oh, that's cool. Because it is different. It's like, I love chocolate cake. And then someone puts a shot of whiskey in the icing. It's like, yo, this is still chocolate cake, but I haven't had that little different things. That's cool.
Right.
And a little more interesting to me, you know?
It's called lactose, Kyle.
Oh, don't get me started.
Oh.
Let me go grab a beer, and I will fucking rip fucking lactose. I'm gonna go quickly grab a beer. By the way, I'll be right back.
All right.
So I like when there's like a change in one of the major components, like yeast, right?
Yeah.
So I had a beer tree beer, and it was brewed with I'm gonna butcher it. Is it Kvike or Kvik yeast?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know how to pronounce it though.
I pronounce it Quebec.
But the name of the beer was like Kviking, which is pretty dope. They brewed it with honey, and I forget the exact hops, but they used this yeast, and it added this just like this kind of new kind of twang, kind of.
But you already called it yeast. You already called the yeast.
Just enough to make it different, and I really enjoyed that. And like
you said Kviking, right? With a K.
Yeah, that was the name of the beer. They brewed it with you were gone, but the Kvik yeast.
So let me get out. Let me get it. You want a little bit of a lesson on Kvike?
Is that Shankler?
So it's Kveik.
Yep.
Kvike.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is this? You know what that word is? What it means? And I think it was Norwegian, if I remember correctly. But I always get some of those Scandinavian.
I believe it is Norwegian.
You know what the word means? Yeast.
Oh,
it's the Norwegian word for yeast, and like with farmhouse ales, and like with the back in ye golden days, all these little farms, all these little houses, all brewing their own beers, they all had their own house yeast. They all had their own cultivated yeast, and they called it Kvike. And right now, like what happened with saisons, there was something that was considered the ultimate saison strain. And this is what everybody's using to create a saison. So there is now a strain that is basically called Kvike. And you can add it to so many things. And it does almost like a saison yeast, something similar. It's slightly funky. After a while, it will sort of dry out the sugars a little bit. It's going to consume the sugars. And it does sort of like the same thing. I don't know if you guys are getting it, but here in Europe, there's an IPA style that was quite popular for a while and still being made. It's called the Kvike IPA. Like a saison IPA.
Yeah, that's almost from what it sounds like, that's almost like kind of like this beer I was describing. It was really good.
I'm so happy you guys are getting Kvike. That makes me so fucking happy.
I actually recently had a red ale brewed with that yeast as well.
No, really?
Yeah, very interesting.
That's cool.
Like it was
that sounds awesome.
It was one of the best red ales I've had in recent memory. It was just so unique.
I know. I saw it already. I saw it through the glass.
But yeah, I mean, it's weird with like IPA nowadays. Like anyone that like knows me or whatever, they know I'm like the biggest hazy other half fanboy there is. But it's kind of weird because nowadays, what knocks my socks off is going back to like classic, just like no frills kind of old school IPA. Like it's just like there's something so tasty with the simplicity of it all. Like even going back to something as simple as like a mixed 12-pack of Sierra Nevada, I'm like, man, that was refreshing. It hit the spot. Like it's so delicious. Like I'm just like, yeah. And it's like, you know, and you look at the price point too. I mean, for me, I can pay what $17.99 for a 12-pack of that, or pay $20 for a 4-pack of I don't know whatever. But it's just the simplicity. I don't know if it's because of what you mentioned before, Thomas, of they've only gone so far and there's nothing kind of new. It's all kind of the same. And we're reverting back to old school, or I don't know.
Look, there's definitely something to do. I want to quickly go through a few comments in a little bit.
Yeah,
I also need to get a fucking picture of that head, because that is gorgeous.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you. I just went to.
I just assume I'm in the background of that picture. I don't know.
No, nobody's in the background. I'm just going to make sure that didn't happen this time.
You'd get more likes if we were in the background.
True, but I want it all to be about the beer. So I'm going to go quickly get through a few comments because there's been a few things I wanted to mention. First off, Adam is completely right. 90% of commercial Kvijk yeast is Voss, but that's because, again, back in the olden days, like with the Saison yeast, everybody had their own little individual strain. And now it's all just commercialized, and you get basically Saison yeast, which all has that sort of like the Saison Dupont, sort of like that Tank 7 kind of vibe. Tank 7 is a little bit different then, but, it hits the same notes in a different way. Okay, the one I wanted to go. This was one we talked about. Just beer. Yeah, it was all just beer. There was a beer tap thing. We got 10% of the merchant food was a food truck, so it was separate. We talked about that. Somebody's asking about the hops and malts you would want to use if you would ever brew your own IPA, but we can get back to that in a bit.
That's a cool question.
Exactly, that deserves it a little bit. I've had hazy English IPA that are hazy because they're unfiltered. They're nothing like a New England style IPA. See, that is also
I was gonna mention before that the only good IPA is an English IPA, or English. I prefer English pale ale, but
Pale ale bitters. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I had a sorry, yeah.
Well, I just have something for this comment, but go ahead.
Yeah, we know a fuckload of collabs. That's something we can get into, definitely. They're called mountain IPAs here. They really pissed me off. We're talking about the West Coast and the no coast. Cold IPAs are reverse Kolsch's.
I'm not mad at it.
That's actually how to make 10 minutes of conversation into like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. There you go. We talked about this. We got East Coast LQ Review saying, cheers guys. Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Tanner.
Having a good Sunday. My Sunday is running through an end, but I've been basically I don't know if Kyle and Dan got this, but Friday and Saturday, both of those days started at around like 8:15 for me in the morning, and I got home at I got home at like half an hour past midnight on both days, and worked about 7 hours or so today. We had the wine festival I talked to you about.
That's a lot of work, man.
Great. Yeah, no, it's good. It was fun.
Okay, good. That's a lot of time.
Yeah, just hit up the Wales Brewing Company location, then stopped at Sons of Liberty Spirits Company.
That's a cool name.
I like this combination, going out for a beer, and then
that's cool.
That ain't too shabby.
Just taught about the Sons of Liberty last week in my U.S. history class. That's a cool name for a spirit company.
I believe that was also part of Metal Gear Solid. I'm pretty sure.
Was part of what?
Too.
Metal Gear Solid. Sons of
Liberty. Was it really?
Yeah.
So it's maybe not the history reference I think it is.
There was a comment that I can't find anymore. That's one that I wanted to get into a little bit because I had the same idea where Adam said something about breweries having guest beers. Now you see that every now and then. I don't know if you guys see that.
Oh yeah.
It should all breweries sort of, because craft beer is fantastic, but craft breweries, especially the somewhat smaller ones, it's not easy for them. We might think that they're the best thing and that they're doing great, but they sometimes have issues, of course, trying to maintain profit. Helping each other along should breweries within sort of like a same radius, like a same location, help each other out by putting 2 beers of other local breweries, or one, or if there's multiple breweries quite local, put at least one beer from a other brewery on tap, and just sort of help each other out. Go like, hey guys, we have some great stuff. You should try our beers. But hey, here's one of a brewery that's like 15 miles down the road. You should check these guys out, man. Have a sample of theirs, even if it's just like a free sample. Go ahead and like go check these guys out as well. And if everybody did that, all these small local craft breweries helping each other out a little bit. What are your thoughts on that?
I have 3 items on this question. First item is a really funny story. I went to this new upstart brewery, and they've been open, I don't know, 2 months now, and they have their board with their beer, and I ordered a cream ale. So I'm not paying attention. I'm with friends. I get the cream ale. I'm like, man, this cream ale is really good. I really enjoy it. It's top notch. So I go back in and I go to get another beer, and somebody at the bar ordered a cream ale.
Ooh, light lager. Well done.
And I see them reach down in the cooler, and they pull out a can. And I'm like, I look, and it's Genesee cream ale.
What?
And
what the fuck?
And I'm like, I see him pour it in the glass, and I'm just like, I'm sitting there, I'm looking at it, I'm kind of like, well, that explains why I like it. B, because I'm a Jenny cream ale guy. And then B, I became angered because I paid $7 for a pint of Genesee cream ale, which I can pay $8.99 for a 12-pack. And C, I became even more angered because it just says there's no signifying thing on the beer board that claims this is our beer versus a guest or a tap, which I feel like you must do if you're doing that.
Agreed.
I guess my second point would be, I feel like if you're going to promote each other's stuff, I feel like maybe it works better if maybe you're doing like a collab or whatever. Like, okay, perfect example. Mortalis and Other Half, they've collabed. They're about 40 minutes down the road from each other. They'll have each other's collab on the tap or whatever. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Tap takeovers, that's a thing. I don't mind them.
Agreed.
Right? I don't know. I feel like if you're within like an hour drive beyond like the tap takeover or a collab, I feel like you're kind of taking business from one another. If I was to run a brewery, I feel like maybe I'd stray away from somebody that's close. But with that in mind, cideries, that's a big deal. Breweries by me, they'll have local cidery stuff on tap, like Star Cider
or something like that. That's a fair point as well. Something like that, yeah.
But that, to me, that opens up the door because there's a lot of people that go to breweries where, like, let's say the husband likes beer and the wife doesn't, and she's like, "What else do they have? Cider, wine, Okay.
Yeah, I remember Matt mentioning something along those lines once, where he was like, I don't remember if the brewery itself made cider as well, or if it was from another local company, but him being pretty happy, especially for his wife, I believe, that they had some nice ciders because she likes ciders, and they got the chance to just enjoy being there together.
I think you're talking about hardball cidery.
Could very well be. I just remember the story. I don't remember the details.
It's a cidery in Pennsylvania that has, I think he said that the guy who owns it, or one of the guys that works there or something, knows one of the people from Dancing Gnome.
That was it. In
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So they have these cans that you can't get.
I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, I think that place is like from me, like 45 minutes maybe. But like basically to get Dancing Gnome, you have to drive to Pittsburgh, which is like almost 6 hours from here. So
same company, Keith. Well, not different company, but same area. we went to a beer fest, Cinderlands in Pennsylvania, like in the Pittsburgh area. They make a hard cider, and they kind of copy like the Mountain Dew logo, and it's like their Cindy's Hard Mountain Cider or whatever. It's damn good. But
So there was this one question that I thought was kind of fun. The one about, this is in Dutch, so I'll translate it for you. If you could brew your own IPA to your own personal taste profile, what hops and grains would you use? Kyle? I mean, we're not brewers, so we're just sort of guessing here. Maybe things that we're saying really, maybe there's a brewer watching right now going like, these guys are fucking assholes. They don't know what they're talking about, which we actually we don't know what hello. But Kyle, what would be your dream?
I'm surprised that there aren't more breweries. I've had a couple, but aren't more breweries using that Sabro hop that can kick out a decent amount of coconut, and pairing it more with Galaxy and Vic's Secret that can kick out the pineapple and more of these pina colada inspired IPAs. I'm surprised more breweries aren't doing that specific thing. And I also
they are doing it over here. They're doing it over.
Oh,
here.
really?
Yeah.
I think literally a couple. I think literally two I've had, and I'm just surprised that more breweries aren't. I mean, I do love Citra, so I mean, Citra and anything for me. And I think if someone was to try to replicate the pineapple, coconut, pina colada experience, a good amount of wheat and oats, as well, just to get up that mouthfeel.
Can we also please just say that he said wheat, not weed?
Wheat with a T, yes.
I don't want to get this live stream blocked.
Wheat.
Do breweries even use Sabro over here anymore? Because you said, as soon as you said Sabro, I was like, I haven't heard Sabro in like
I love it. So I wish more would, because I love coconut. So yeah, be right. I don't see a ton of it.
Honestly, I see a lot of Sabro with like Hop Butcher. That's like,
yes,
they still seem to use it.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that you mention
it,
I'm like, yeah.
I think Sabro has been replaced a little bit by its derivative. A derivative? Did I just use that word correctly? Matt, did I just use the word derivative correctly? Can you tell me? Oh, he's trying to get on.
The video's not working, or if that's on my end.
We'll just see
what hop do you think's derivative of it?
Talus, which is
dude, Talus is something.
Talus is something. Talus is like rose petal, floral.
All I remember is Beer Trooper Palooza last year. We went to Fiden's and they had a Talus hopped beer, which was insane. Absolutely insane.
Talus is gorgeous. Talus is very floral, very lime forward, and it can have a little bit of the coconut, but it's like derived from Sabro, if I remember correctly, and that does some great stuff. Matt, do you have like a air conditioning or a fan on in the background?
Yeah, I got some feedback, Matt.
How about now?
Oh yeah,
that's a lot better.
It is the result of a hybrid pollination of the Sabro and open pollination.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize they'd laid it on a name.
Plus whatever. Yeah, because I've seen Talus more than I've seen Sabro recently, so I wonder if people are just using Talus now.
They are here as well. We see Sabro still, but Talus is getting a bit more dominant. Oh man, Matt's on the fucking highlight. Fucking of course. I knew you were gonna drink that. I knew as soon as you popped up, I knew that was gonna be your poison of choice. What's up? What's up, Matt?
Not much. I'm enjoying an easy Sunday. Just got some chili going, so it's simmering right now. Nice, cool. It's been unseasonably chilly here up in the Northeast, so it's chilly weather. So I'm all about it.
Yeah, we did that last weekend or the weekend before. I was like, yeah, it's time.
What was it? We were talking about it. I was like, you know what? Screw it, I'm just gonna make chili, and it was. I think it might have been the first time in my life we were like, I didn't have to go buy any ingredients.
Oh wow!
Like we had everything from the spices to the peppers to the onions to the beef to the stock, the whole nine. I was like, this is weird. Why am I not going to the store? I still have to go to the store, right?
You need to go buy a lottery ticket, like now.
Yeah.
Matt,
Yep.
can you check the comments, please?
Oh yeah, how much I enjoyed it. Yeah. No, it is what it is, man. I mean, when you play like shit and you're sloppy, you tie, But it is what it is. Now we can talk about my football team and how they almost dropped the most points in the history of the NFL today. That would be nice.
The Dolphins.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
It is. You know what I mean? And they took their foot off the pedal, which is the craziest part.
You know what makes me sick is I dropped them from my FanDuel lineup because they cost too much. I should have went less on the other guys.
Yeah. It's like both running backs. You ever seen two running backs as number one and number two in fantasy before?
It's been a long time, maybe since. Yeah,
like the top out of the top. I think it's the top 7 fantasy people. I think 5 are Dolphins.
Yeah,
it's insane. Yeah. Well, you're gonna score 70 points. It's gonna happen.
Quick question from Matt, by the way. Quickly getting back to the chili. Beans or no beans? Beans or no beans?
Light beans. Like I'm okay. I like having a couple 2-3 beans thrown in there. Let's put it this way. When I make chili, when we make anything here, it's usually high volume. Make a bunch and then freeze it and whatnot.
Exactly.
So the batch, I'm doing 3 pounds of beef, and it called for like 4, smallish, medium-sized cans of beans. I put 1 in. So it called for 4. I put 1 in. Yeah.
I like to. It depends on how I want to eat it. Sometimes I like this idea of having this something, no rice or anything with it. Some people eat chilis with rice and everything. So if you really want to make it like a big one-pot wonder, I like to add more beans and just that's it. That's all it is, and just one big filling meal. But other than that, I'm kind of like you. Take back some of the beans and just work with the rice or jacket potato or whatever, and that's kind of like, yeah.
I will say this. I did put a bunch of peppers in there. I usually don't put bell peppers in, but we have so many bell peppers from the garden. I decided to just toss them in there and see how it goes. The weirdest. So whenever I do recipes, I usually have like a core idea in mind of what I want to do, but I always go online and look, just kind of triple check on what I should be doing and all that kind of stuff. And 3 weeks ago, I made sausage and peppers. And I saw the weirdest recipe in the history of mankind. You could read the whole thing, and it was spot on verbatim. Like, I like doing sausage and peppers in the crock pot, and it's like, okay, get your crock pot, blah, blah, and, this and that, bell peppers, onions, blah, blah, blah. And it's this sausage and peppers, like, tomato sauce, sausage, pepper, onion, garlic, spices. And the end of the recipe said, and serve over mashed potatoes.
Ooh.
That's weird. Who the hell eats sausage and peppers over mashed potatoes?
But I get that. I do. But I'm Dutch. Dutch and potatoes, man. Dutch and potatoes.
I'm Irish, dude. I got
That's true. That's true. I mean,
thing.
you beat me at that. That's true. So Adam's saying Sabro in stouts. I can get that because depending on how you, we talked about what water treatment and everything does with water treatment, the yeast, how it went, and how you add it to the boil of the whirlpool. If you add it in the right way, you get this big coconut thing out of Sabro. So getting Sabro in a stout can really fucking work.
Yeah, there's a brewery by me, Warhorse Brewing, and they do a Churchill. It's their stout series, but they do variations. And this is a Tiki Time with Churchill. It's a tropical stout, and I'm pretty sure they use Sabro in it. It's almost like a coconut tropical kind of stout. So yeah.
Or Sabro in black IPAs. Sort of like same thing.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah. Adam is saying, it's okay, Matt. Liverpool can't seem to keep a clean sheet, specifically in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We just shot ourselves in the foot, basically. That we shouldn't have won because we played like ass, but we still should have won because the other team sucks ass. But it's one of those things where it happens. It's just, dropping points like this is just more distance for Man City, and that's what sucks. So,
Mercy Beers has a comment.
Oh yeah,
voting yes. Depends on the theme, but yes.
Yeah, I'm pro mushroom in almost anything, to be honest with you. But
especially if you have you guys used what's it called? I can't think of the name. It's this dried mushroom. It's not porcini. Porcini. If you take
yeah,
porcini in its dried form, and if you just soak it in some hot water and you rehydrate it, but that like concentrate of you get in the liquid, add that back into your chili, and you get this umami bomb in your chili that is fucking amazing.
I mean, typically with chili, like I have like a base recipe that I always use, and then I amend it based on kind of the theme I want to do. Like if I want to do a hot or a sweet or whatever. Like the last chili I made, the theme was maple. So I used maple sausage. Added instead of like my usual sugar, I added maple syrup with a slight vanilla tinge to it, and add some maple brown sugar.
That sounds delicious.
Barbecues.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean overall theme, but yeah.
So, but I'm curious now because I know that Keith, were you vegan or vegetarian?
Vegan.
Vegan. So mushrooms and umami and getting that fleshing. What's like vegan chili for you? And I actually mean this honestly because even though I love meat, I eat vegetarian and vegan often. So I'm like curious. Chili for you.
I don't like mushrooms, so I don't use mushrooms. It's mostly beans. Sometimes, occasionally, I will use a plant-based beef or something like that. But most of the time, it's I do garbanzo beans, kidney beans, black beans, and then it's just diced tomatoes, onion, garlic. I feel like I'm forgetting something. That's basically it.
Does plant-based beef, or meat, does that bother you? Like, because I know some vegetarians or vegans, like, just the thought of like it being like meat turns them off. Like, does it bother? Like, would you beyond sausage or whatever? Like,
no.
Okay,
that doesn't bother me.
Being that this is like beer related stuff, how often do y'all throw fucking beer in a fucking chili?
Dude, I threw a green
Here
city,
here and there,
and the maple chili. Gave it a kind of a nice tropical thing. Yeah.
I mean, I like to add like a nice little porter or even like a little bit of a Guinness can do some good stuff.
Yeah, typically Guinness extra foreign. The extra foreign.
I'm not big on using lagers in my chili. Sometimes I just feel it adds a weird bitterness that I don't really like. But I enjoy using something like a darker ale, like a Castile Brown or something.
Thomas, you've not had a Jenny Cream Ale chili. It's wonderful.
I'll make that work as soon as I can get some.
No, stout and chili for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if a recipe ever calls for water, I'm like, fuck you, I'm throwing beer in there.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Trying to convince Harry to brew a Sabro and Sorachi a stout. Harry, by the way, Harry is Blue Nose Beer Reviews. He's from the UK, and he's a beer reviewer, but he's also a brewer.
Oh, nice.
A Sabro and Sorachi a stout.
Sorachi Ace.
I mean, I get either one, but together, I don't know.
I don't know if I've had them together, so it's piqued my curiosity. I also haven't had Sriracha Ace in a while.
The only one that comes to mind is the
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn one. Yeah, what's his? Steven opened like a 2015 or 16. The Bomber, the Brooklyn Sriracha Ace last week.
That's still drinking good.
It was actually pretty damn good. Yeah.
That beer is great. I don't know if I've had it aged that long, but yeah, that beer is great.
Sabro in a porter or a barrel. I think it means barley wine. In a porter, I can get it. In a barley wine, if you're going for a little bit of like an adjuncty thing, but
anytime you can impart more coconut in malty beers, I think you're a winner. So if you can coerce the Sabro to come out that way, then sure. But just to do it, just to be like a Sabro hop barley wine, But I also think Sabro gets a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? I think people get Sabro at a coconut out of Sabro more than it actually exists. So like, I think people kind of play it up like if they've been told Sabro produces a ton of coconut, so every time they see Sabro on a label, they go, "Oh my god, there's so much fucking coconut in here," when it's not actually there.
More often than not, in IPAs, I will get like a big lime note out of the Sabro than actually coconut. For me, Sabro can go, yeah.
But it's also, almost all these hazies are not malt based or like dextrose based 0 grain beers. So if the coconut's in there, it can kind of come out. I think if you throw it into a stout or a barley wine, something with a really beefy malt bill, it's just not going to show. So it's good in concept, but I don't know if it's actually going to work in practice.
Agreed. I love butter beans and chili, and Cameron is saying kidney beans are great. Love kidney beans. That's a fucking classic. I want to.
Yeah, that's what I put in.
Yeah, same. I'll tend to go for things like kidney beans.
I was a toss up between kidneys and black, and I had some black beans and kidney beans.
Yes.
I'm like, which one do you want to go?
I do a can of both. That's because I love both. Yeah.
I have this sort of recipe. It's based on. It's not an actual dish that exists. It's just something I put together. It's sort of based on how you approach pilaf, jambalaya, risotto, and things. It's a vegetarian, actually a vegan dish, and I love adding black beans to it. It's like rice and bell peppers and onions and spices and a bit of tomato puree. And you get like this fucking great thing going on. I wanted to ask you guys a little bit about Beer Tripapalooza, actually, because that was not this weekend, but the weekend before, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was the only one out of this group. I was the only one there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, this porch is never ending, and it was also my mom's birthday, so I couldn't make it. But I had to tell my mom and my stepdad, but yeah, a little different.
So how many people were at Beer Tripapalooza this year?
10, 12 people, maybe? Around there? I forget. Good group. Was actually, it was quite fun. It was more laid back and not as. We actually drank. It was more of a bottle share than anything else. And we actually filmed a review in Steven's basement. So when you see that, yeah, there was a large selection to choose from. But it was a good time in general.
Was James still there for the Beer Tripapalooza?
Nah, James actually had a wedding that weekend. The whole reason James was here was for
the
this
wedding,
for the wedding. And it was the same day, that Saturday. So I picked up James. I came back Sunday evening from Beer Tripapalooza, took a nap, woke up, drove to Newark, and picked up James. So it was a very, very long 5-day stretch for me.
A very beery week.
Yeah. We had a blast.
I saw some pictures pop up, man. That looked awesome. James is a great guy. He was here for a couple of days 3 years ago. And we had a blast. There's one thing that I can tell you about James. This man does not eat vegetables. If he eats a vegetable, it's because there's the tomato sauce on his pizza, and that's fucking it. This is one. I don't know how he stays that skinny. This is one carb-driven man. It is fucking amazing.
And he is like classic, like almost like stereotypical Scottish.
Yes.
So my MO, my personal like favorite thing to do when I go to breweries is people watch. Like I like to have a conversation with people, but I like to sit there and kind of people watch and do all that fun stuff. Like we would go to a brewery and we'd sit down, and I just sit there, grab beer, and look around and stuff. And after like 3 minutes, he's like, I need to talk to people right now.
Yes.
Like, he's like, I cannot not talk to people. And then, like, give it, and then it's funny every time when we get somewhere, I'd, like, time it and be like, how long? How long is it going to take? And, and within 10 minutes, he's, like, trying to get everybody to laugh and interjecting himself in every conversation in a very, very fun way, not in a negative way, but it was just fun to watch.
Dude's amazing like that. We were both so disappointed. Within COVID rules, we could still make it work, but basically, while he was coming over, rulings here changed on pubs and gastronomy and things being open. So we all had this entire plan for wanting to go to like box beer and go to a few pubs and do things, and all we could really do was just sit in my house and drink beer and film reviews. So he was a little bummed out that we could. That was great. We had a great time, but he was a little bummed out that none of the actual things that we wanted to do happened. Quick question, by the way, guys, because I do have work in the morning, so I can't go on for hours and hours, and I do want one more beer. Do I go for a lager, or do I go for a triple IPA? Just to fuck with the live stream's theme. Just to fuck with the live stream's theme. Go
roll with the triple. I mean,
I kind of feel like fuck it. I mean.
By the way, I opened up the most unlikely collab in the world in 2023. So if I told you other half of Monkish did a collab, what style beer would you think it is?
Yes, but it's not gonna be. So what is it?
It's an
Oktoberfest.
ESB.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
It's like what? What? I feel like the brewers just like screw everyone. Let's just make something off the wall classic, not remotely new school.
Yeah.
But
cool.
I mean, in hindsight, it's not like a traditional ESB. It's like their spin on it, but still, it's pretty cool.
It's kind of fun that they're doing that. What brewery did I see pop
So
up?
it's just an IPA and they called it an ESB.
No, it's got ESB. It's definitely ESB, but I mean not old school.
The most unlikely brewery collab would be Founders and Weathered Souls, but that's for different.
God damn it.
Yeah. I had to go there.
Somebody asked me, like, have you tried that new blueberry stout from them? I said, Lizard of Cause? Like, no, the new one. I said, no, I haven't been racist lately. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, if someone wants to steal one and share it with me, fair enough, but I'm good on that.
Yeah.
I did get going. I did not make chili, but I'm making a different soup because, yeah, it's definitely soup weather. So thank you for letting me join the stream. Good seeing all you dudes, and I will see everyone later. Enjoy your Sunday.
Dude, it was fun seeing you. It was great hanging out, and we need to talk about doing a
Kyle,
collaboration.
message me. We'll take stock of our brewery beers and see what we have.
Oh, yeah. I set them aside, the ones we have the same,
Okay.
so I've not touched them. Yeah, hell yeah. All right, bye, guys.
Cheers, dude. I'm definitely not going to go for like a triple IPA if I have work in the morning, but I am going
why
to go
not? Live life on
because
that.
I'm going to go for a Dunkles Lager.
Oh, okay.
Do feel like this. This is Maasbrau. I had a Helles from them a couple of weeks ago, and this is the hop. I love the fact that they actually do mention the hops. So the Hopfen, Hallertauer Perl, and Hallertau Select. It is 5% ABV. Would you like me to try to read the German part of what's on the label?
I mean, channel your Hasselhoff and do it up, buddy.
Unsere ETA rauf und runter ein echtes Dunkels. Es wurde 2008 anlässlich des... Oh, fuck, I'm giving up. I'm too tired for this bullshit.
Just open the beer. Just open the beer.
That had no hiss at all. That had no hiss at all. Okay, we'll see. It's carved. It's carved. Oh, okay, good. Because that was like, okay, it's a bit scary. Yeah, that's like basically just a good donkey.
Dude, that is great head right there.
Yeah, you're an expert on good head.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Receiving it. Receiving.
I was about. Yeah. So there. Oh, you stole my thunder.
Oh.
No, that's a good little. That's I like that.
I mean, Matt's is equally as impressive right there. It's funny though. Like, isn't it funny how brands get in your head? Like, Matt didn't even have that beer close to the camera, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, "That's the zero gravity." Like, it's crazy how brands get in your head like that.
What brand is Zero Gravity? That's not one I'm familiar with. Matt's
Ooh,
trying to take a
It's
picture.
not that. It's not old. Good. They don't. I got a mix pack from them, and they don't date their mix pack. So it's like, yeah, I'll roll the dice.
So, what you were drinking, Matt and Keith? What are you drinking?
It's kind of like a classic. It's like a New England hazy, but not like super like new school. You know, you can tell by color. It's a little bit darker. But it's like, you know, old school, new school, like kind of like fiddleheady, sippy kind of.
Lawson's kind of.
Yeah.
Fuck
I mean,
me.
that
I
sounds
love
good.
me. I love me a fiddlehead. By the way, it's so good.
We're still talking about the head, huh?
Yeah.
What are you
get away
drinking?
from
What are you drinking, Keith?
Same thing.
He's drinking hot dog water out of the chocolate
Oh,
starfish.
this is actually zero gravity too.
That light? Is it that light? Wait, let me put you up in.
It is 3.2%.
I like their Oktoberfest. Pretty good.
No, their Oktoberfest banging. I mean, honestly, zero gravity is kind of like one of those things where, like, they're so readily available by me, and I rarely grab them. But every now and then I'll be like, fuck it, I'll grab the zero gravity, and every time I get it, it's really good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, why don't I grab it more often? So, and their spot in Vermont is really. I probably had my favorite ever banh mi there. They had really good food at their spot and stuff, so I dig them.
Talking about the hot dog water comment Dan just made. I actually I haven't filmed it yet because I want to review it, but I actually finally got my first Krasitsky in a couple of weeks ago. That's a style you really don't see a lot here.
Ooh.
You think that me being closer to Poland than you guys are, but that's just not something we really get here. And it is brewed by a Polish craft brewery.
Okay.
And it's just over 3% ABV, but I'm curious about it. I mean, you guys have been talking about the style quite a lot. And
That's my smoky get for my trip up north. The Schlenkerler distillate.
Matt, did you just buy that like in a liquor store just randomly, or did you?
No, so so Schlenkerler is imported in the United States from a company called Be United. Okay, Be United. It's like Shelton Brothers or like any kind of big importer. They import J.W. Lee's. They import like Or Beer or De Proof. They import a bunch of different European breweries. Several years ago,
wait,
they opened up
did you just say the proof? You can get the proof.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
We've always been able to get the proof over here.
I wasn't aware of that. Nice.
Yeah. And then several years ago, they decided to open their own brewery called OEC. It's eccentric eccentric organization of whatever craft brewers or something like that. And all they make is pretty much like lager and wild beer and stuff like that. I've always wanted to go there. One of the managers there, it's like he texts back and forth all the time on Instagram all the time about stuff. And he's like, if you're ever up here, come here. And I was like, actually, I'm going to be passing by on Friday. I'm going to come for my first time. So I left actually early on Friday before Beer Tube Palooza, went up there for noon. And so that not only do they have their beers, they have pretty much everything they import. So they import the Schlenkerler, all their beers, and the liquor. So it was just there. It was just on the shelf. Wow. They had several bottles of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, and the dude behind the bar was mad cool. Like put it this way, I got like a 1993 Courage Russian Imperial Stout there. Like they have crazy stuff at this place. And then I saw that and I'm like, man, I really want to get it. I really want to get it. And I'm like, I don't know if I could warrant paying for it because it was $80. You know what I mean? It's not it's crazy expensive, but it's also not cheap. And I was like, fuck. And the guy's like, because I mentioned, I was like, yeah, I kind of want to pick that up, and I'm not sure. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, how about I just pour you some? Because he's like, we have it here. I'll just give you some. And I drank it, and I'm like, I'm fucking buying it. It actually drinks more like scotch. Like a Speyside, like scotch more than anything else. It's not peaty, it's smoky, but leathery in a sense, kind of tough, and it's really good.
Well, I can comment on that part on the space side and the smokiness, but what I'm curious about, what was the ABV?
It's 40 proof, so 80% alcohol, right? Or am I reversing that? So it's 40% alcohol.
Yeah,
40% alcohol. 40% alcohol, so it's 80 proof.
So so like a Scotch whiskey, a single malt,
So it's
Scotch whiskey needs to be 40% to be, but yeah.
So it's interesting because I don't know if you could read it, but it actually says it's distilled from Schlenkel or smoke beer, but then they finish it actually on smoked malt. They like rest it on smoked malt after it's distilled.
I'm putting you in solo.
Nice.
I like that. That looks great. I'm gonna see if I can get that because I'm curious. But yeah, there's this myth, of course, that you talk about Speyside and that only like the Isla whiskeys are big and smoked, but back in
But that's the thing,
olden
you're not getting a crazy ton of smoky off this. It's more a smoky in a sense, like a leather jacket kind of
exactly.
smoky. It's actually what region is it northern Scott? What's Glenmorangie? Like what region is that?
Glenmorangie is Highlands, I believe.
Highland Scotch. So I would say it's somewhere in between a Speyside and Highland Scotch.
No, but here's the thing though, because people have this thing that only the Islay whiskeys are smoked, and that's of course bullshit because there's many Highland, Speyside, and even like Campbelltown and Lowlands that are doing peated whiskeys. And back in the olden days, everything was smoked. Everything was peated because they had to malt the barley. You had to get malted barley, and the only way to do that was over open flame. They didn't have industrial revolution yet, and they didn't have like steam or whatever. Everything had to be heated by burning something. And in Scotland, the most readily available thing to burn, like big parts of the Netherlands, by the way, was peat. So in ye olden days, all whiskey was peated. It wasn't until the Industrial Revolution and industry and technology gave us options to do other things that you could get non-peated whiskey. And the biggest reason that some distilleries kept doing the peated stuff was either because that was the biggest thing that they could get because it was too expensive to get the entire, setup to do it without burning anything and just use technology, use steam and stuff like that. But also because there were Scots people walking around going like, well, it's not smoky, so I don't like it. So they kept using or trying smoked malts. And here's the thing, after a while, what people seem to forget is that about 93% of all the whiskey consumed in the world is not single malt. It's blends. And more often than not, it's the cheaper blends like Johnny Walker Red Label, and things like Famous Grouse, and there will always be small components of smoke in there. And single malt was always seen as an ingredient for blends. And then somewhere along, like you get to the 70s, the 80s, and single malt got a little popular as something to drink in itself. People started appreciating that, and people started to experience what a smoky, like peated single malt really is. And then suddenly some of these Speyside and Highland and Campbelltown and Lowland distilleries started thinking, hey, if people are enjoying the smoky thing, we need to get back on that track as well. And some did it by finishing their spirit after 10 or 12 years of maturation in whatever kind of barrel. They bought barrels that held Lagavulin, Lefroy, Ardbeg, and finished that spirit for a couple of months to maybe 2 years or so, and released it as a smoky whiskey. Or they actually started to buy smoked malted barley and produce their own peated spirit, usually less intense than an Islay like an Ardbeg or whatever. But yeah, all whiskeys used to be smoky and having something like that. So.
Well, it used to. I mean, the interesting part, you obviously know way more than I do, but we've talked about this previously about Scotch. Is that like, I would say like 80% of the really good Scotch I've had has not come from the actual distiller. It's Gordon MacPhail buying up barrels of defunct Scotch places, and then they're the ones. You know what I mean? It's like whether it be or whoever it may be. It's like. The people don't even exist anymore from the distilleries that the Scotch were drinking. It's these big companies that are buying up the barrels
exactly.
in the old distilleries and then blending them.
A lot of the
not blending them or just bottling them themselves.
Fun fact, by the way, you're just mentioning Gordon MacPhail. Gordon MacPhail is one of the biggest independent bottlers out there, and they announced not that long ago that they're going to stop as independent bottlers because, as a company, they do own a few distilleries, and they still have enough stock to bring out a lot of independent bottled stuff. But after a couple of years, I think they're guessing like 5 to 10 years, they're only going to focus on releasing whiskey from the distilleries that they actually own.
Well, that and all
So
the
even-
extra scotch they have on hand, if they sit on it another
Yeah,
40 years, they'll make $1 billion a bottle, so they're not dumb.
Yeah, for like the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be the smaller releases. And because I remember talking to you about this like 2 years ago, the shop that I worked at, they sold this 80-year-old Glenlivet, which was a Gordon and MacPhail bottling. They have stock like that, so they can keep doing that for as long as they want, as long as they want to sit on it. But that is their sort of ultimate goal.
See, I've recently gotten into bourbon. Like I'm doing the whole bourbon thing, like just adventuring into that, into the unknown, just like trying all the different styles of bourbon and aged bourbon and all that stuff.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at Keith adjusting his mustache. That was pretty. Go for the bourbons. There are some awesome bourbons out there, but just go for the good stuff.
Haven't done much scotch, but I'm like slowly learning, what I like or whatever. I'm super upset because I was going to bring to Beer Tuberclusa this year. It's a collab between Arcane and KCBC. It's a whiskey, and it has hops in it. And it's the same hops used in their beer, Superhero Sidekicks. Which was, I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. So I was gonna bring that. Hopefully, maybe next year.
I will say this. I don't know if there's any reviews done, but whiskey was kind of all over the place at this time, like in a bad way. Like there was just, because Steven likes whiskey and then Tanner likes whiskey and other people like whiskey, so it was just like there was way more whiskey involved this time around. But it was more just like fun. Not necessarily like talking about.
My ultimate hope was I was going to bring a can of actual superhero sidekicks.
And drink it alongside of it.
Yeah. I was like, that would have been really cool for the group.
A side of superhero sidekick. That's nice.
So basically, the whiskey with the hops that are in the beer, and have the beer and the whiskey and do a side by side.
Yeah,
Do you know that actually once? Sorry, yeah.
No, Arcane
No,
did my favorite Hop Butcher beer. They did a collab. So Hop Butcher did a collab with Arcane. Something Scientist. I forget the name of the beer, but it was a pale ale that they used hop distillate from Arcane Brewing instead of actual hop dosage in it. And it was fucking bonkers good. They did 2 of them. The first one, the first one's better. But man, it was so good. So I like that. That's what they you don't know, Steven, like Arcane is like, they take like the turbid hop leftovers from dry hopping and then distill out of that for more hops. So they'll take like, okay, you dry hop the crap out of it, you know what I mean? That leftover mush from a dry hopping session in a fermenter, they take that and then they distill from that and make these kind of, and they do fresh hop distillate and stuff like that, but that's kind of where they kind of live, and it's pretty interesting what they do.
Yeah. So
I know that.
Hopefully we can still do that at some point.
I know that Keith does some distillate reviews every now and then, which is interesting. Did you ever get the chance to try some bourbons from Templeton Rye? Templeton, I mean?
No.
I'm saying, sorry. Did you get some of the ryes from Templeton? Like the Templeton ryes? Did you ever try any of those?
No.
Please do. Their shit.
I was at a liquor store today, and I need about $1 million to try all the ones that I need that I'd like to.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for you to do a Pappy from Winkle.
Dude, it's so funny because
if anybody want to loan me, if anybody wants to loan me like $5,000, I can get it.
Well, Thomas,
we'll work on that.
Joe,
We'll get
Mike,
that.
we did the Wellworks Old Rip, which is aged on Van Winkle, and I was just like, yeah, we can do like side by side if anyone wants to loan me like $1,200.
Yeah,
so I can buy a bottle of fucking Pappy.
I'm still quite surprised that Boersleutel here in the Netherlands actually got hold of some empty Pappy Van Winkle barrels and got to do a barrel-aged beer on that one. That was pretty interesting. I actually got the lucky chance. So at the shop that I work at, we do tastings on location. If people want to have like a tasting for a party or whatever, we can do that. And I usually, of course, do the beer tastings. And then we have one of my coworkers who does the wine tastings, and we have somebody else who does the whiskey tastings. And somebody wanted a whiskey and beer tasting. So they were like, you know what, Thomas, you want to do that one? So it was quite fun to do a tasting where we coupled like single malts or blends or whatever, and couple them with several beer styles and see what worked and what not. So it could have really be fun to bring some whiskeys or other distillates to a beer Palooza thing and try things together. Steven is asking, by the way, I'm not going to go on for much longer myself. I can always switch the stream because it's on Keith's channel as well, but I could also add Matt or FLX to it, and then I could just drop myself up as a...
Yeah, I got to go soon anyway.
Okay.
Yeah,
but anyway, so Stephen is asking, what is better, Scottish or Irish whiskey, or maybe from another country? Look, really, dude?
Kentucky bourbon.
It depends on so many factors.
I haven't had an Irish whiskey I liked. I will say that. I haven't had too many, but I haven't had one I liked.
What is Redbreast classified as? Is that Irish? Redbreast?
Mm-hmm. Oh god damn it, Matt!
I enjoy the 12-year.
The Redbreast is Irish, and that's quite.
I haven't had any Redbreast, and that's one that I want to try. So
yeah, the 12-year of that, my buddy bought it for my birthday. Like this was years ago. Like I had enjoyed some Irish whiskey. He got it for me. Delicious. I mean, but well before my palate was kind of changed or so.
So the thing about Irish whiskies is that not all of it is pot still. A lot of it is like column still, and that does a lot to the body and the flavor and the impact basically of the whiskey. There's a lot of distilleries in Ireland that will produce both malt whiskey and grain whiskey, meaning that they'll produce their own sort of like in-house blends to a degree. So they will be released as whiskey, but it won't say single malt. So people will think like, oh, it's not a single malt, so I'm going to skip it. And a lot of their whiskeys are because of the triple distilled process, are actually quite light and floral and easy going. And if you're used to things like bourbons, pretty hefty, pretty big stuff. If you're used to like your rye whiskeys, if you're used to like heavy single malts, Irish whiskeys can sort of feel a little bit too easy and simple, but there's some heavy bangers out there, and I think companies like Teeling do good stuff. Redbreast, like you mentioned, that's pretty good. I like that.
Teeling is another one that I want to try.
At this point, I'm just waiting for Keith's screen to go blank, and then about 15 minutes later, Matt's shed is going to explode like the Kool-Aid man, just fucking burst in there. And Keith is just going to take that bottle and like, you don't deserve it.
No, that's why I got pissed off at Matt for a second. I wanted to call him out because, Keith, do you want to tell him?
I would be drinking one of those, but I don't have one in the fridge. I have some cans of it over here.
And Keith, Douglas, and I are planning on doing a collaboration review with it.
Oh yeah, that's why I have them, because you said something about it. And
yeah,
that's
but
why...
Douglas still hasn't picked one up, so.
Oh. Okay. Are you guys doing? Oh, you guys only have bottles over there, right? Okay. Maybe I'll get a bottle then.
I gotta go look for that now.
We're sophisticated.
Sophisticated.
We're sophisticated. How is it, Matt? Though, is it any good?
Garbage.
Yeah, I figured as much. Just think about how
hot. It's probably. I would say it's probably. I mean, it's the most. It's probably the most least aggressive schlenkeler. I would put it that way. Like, it's still smoky, but it's very much malt forward. It's almost, to me, like barley wine light in the way it kind of comes off.
Wait, less smoky than.
It's Baby Keith. Baby Keith status.
Yeah. But I'm interested to see what the Schwarzbier comes off like. When a guy I was talking to there at that importer, he said they should get it in October. I think that's gonna hit the United States in October. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. All right, guys. I think this would be a good time to sort of end the stream because both Matt and Keith had stuff to do, and I need to start finishing this beer and get to bed because my alarm goes in.
Do you have like before you go? Is that like the bat signal behind you? Like, is there like a drum light behind you? Like, what is that?
It's called a lamp on the ceiling.
No, the thing over your shoulder.
The bat signal.
The bat signal.
Oh,
Totally.
this thing.
You know what I mean?
Oh, it totally is.
It's so here's the fun thing. my parents got that for my birthday.
They knew you were Batman all along. Crazy.
I'm Batman. They got me. I got this thing in like April, and I still haven't found a proper place to put it, so it's just there.
What is it though?
It's a lamp. It's literally a lamp. It's like it's.
Yeah, but that's the shit you shine down on a person who's escaping and then shoot them.
People here call this decorative.
Matt's just like, it's Alcatraz.
Yeah, well, Shawshank, but still.
Yeah.
It's decorative. It's a lamp, and yeah, I could turn it into a bat signal. I suppose it's not that.
You know,
bright.
really quick, speaking of Batman, has anyone watched the new Flash?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, even if you're like not down with the new Flash, I think you need to watch the new Flash just because of the awesomeness of Batman in the new Flash.
So here's the thing, right? So
Michael
yes, because
Yeah.
it was actually the movie was a lot more entertaining than the reviews said it was.
It was.
Here's a hot take. I love Michael Keaton as Batman because this is what the Batmans are. But if you take a step back from your nostalgia and watch the 1989 Batman movie and Batman Returns, they're not that good. They're not that
you're
great.
crazy. The original Batman's fantastic, but you have to understand the context
It's
in which
not the
you're watching
original
it.
Batman. The original Batman is from like they did Batman.
No.
before.
Okay, in Flash,
they did.
listen, in Flash, they did Keaton justice, and it's amazing just to watch for the Keaton aspect.
I
Yeah.
agree that it was amazing, but the 1989 movie and Batman Returns did not age well.
It ages well if you understand the context, man. It's like watching
No.
Casablanca. It's a shit. All the movies from like the 40s and 50s suck ass because they're overacted and shit. But if you understand that's what life
Agreed.
existed,
And
that's
why
how
they're
things
still
were,
great.
and that's kind of how like you have to go back with context.
That's
You know what I mean?
meant. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. If you take a step
Prince
back,
did
I
the
would be-
soundtrack. Listen, Prince did the soundtrack. Come on.
Yeah.
And
But look at,
I'm a card-carrying Prince fan, but he did the soundtrack. You know,
There's no talking with this guy.
never is.
There never is. Look, I'm agreeing. Keaton was.
I will say this though, and this is coming from somebody who doesn't know the worlds, but whenever I watch anything DC, it's like watching like GoBots. It's like just ugh. It's like it's so much more like less. It's just like.
So
I'm kind of getting what you're putting down, but it's still hot garbage compared to.
I'm there with you, Matt.
Hey, but let's be
I think
fucking
the
honest.
Keaton in this case.
No,
in
I
this particular
appreciate
case,
what you're saying. I want to see it just for the Keaton portion of the show, but a DC is kind of like DC's got to be like, they like look at their stuff and they're just like, is somebody like watching over them going like, this shit is hot garbage. Why are we doing this? Why can't we do good
they
stuff?
just got James Gunn, and he just like basically fired at everyone. He's just like, no, I'm rebooting you. No, I'm rebooting you.
Let's
It's
just see what
like-
James Gunn
let's see
can
what
bring to the
happens.
table. I'm
But at the
honestly
same time,
pissed.
it's like, fuck James Gunn because you're rebooting Cavill, and Cavill's the fucking man, so I don't see why you're rebooting
Look,
him. But that's
James
a whole
Gunn.
nother
James
subject.
Gunn is awesome in a lot of things that he does, but James Gunn the Suicide Squad, the sequel to the first one, and that movie was not good. That movie was fucked up, and it was entertaining to some degrees. But here's the thing, though. Everybody's saying Marvel versus DC might be hot garbage, but Marvel has not put out decent content.
Here's the thing.
For fucking years.
Without getting into it, I don't see why everyone's like Marvel versus DC. Why the fuck is X-Men not in this picture? Because that's a whole different movie.
I think they're sandbag. I think they understand, like Thomas said, like, you know, the stuff that Marvel's done. And honestly, there's no way you're gonna keep on going with Marvel. That you couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Like, just Downey Jr. alone and what he did. You know what I mean? You just couldn't do it. So I think, like, they're making money. They're fine with it. I think it's kind of like in sports, because I know you love sports, Thomas. It's kind of like you don't want to be the coach after the great coach. You want to be the great coach after the coach that followed the great coach. Yeah. So I think you're gonna get your X-Men. I think you're gonna get a lot of crossover stuff, and that's gonna be great. But I think
So bad saying is Tony Dungy and John Gruden.
No, but this is literally already fact. The director has already said that the director literally a day or two ago mentioned that Deadpool 3 is really going to do justice and homage to the Fox history.
Really, it's not like they've released tons and tons of screenshots and pictures that accidentally leaked the internet of fucking Wolverine, like a billion of them. Like, come on.
No, but that was already confirmed. And by the way, in one of the best little skits that they ever did, while Ryan Reynolds was all going like in sitting there and what are we gonna do with Deadpool 3 and how are we gonna make this great?
Yeah.
Great. And then he's like suddenly you see Hugh Jackman in the background and Ryan Reynolds going, "Hey, you want to be back?" That was, of course, we all knew, but apparently a lot more of the cameos are going to be the Fox era of Marvel movies. So think Daredevil, think the X-Men movies, think Fantastic Four. All of those movies are apparently going to be.
But the problem, and this is actually the quote attributed to Quentin Tarantino, which he said, like, the character is the star, not the person acting in it, to a certain extent. So, like, the problem with Marvel is that they killed off Cap, they killed off Tony. Like, they're killing off the people that people wanted to go fucking see. You know what I mean? Exactly. No one goes to see fucking. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck goes to watch? What's the guy who shoots the arrows? Deadeye or Hawkeye or whatever. No one fucking gives a shit about that guy. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm saying not you, Thomas. I'm saying like not the 1%ers. You know what I mean? So it's like you're killing off all these people, and then it's like Mackie as fucking Captain America. That's like fucking. That's like. That's like dollar store Captain America.
But here's the thing. I don't read the comics, but I do know this is a fact. In the comics, Falcon, Sam, actually did become Captain America.
No, I understand that.
But I do understand.
Yeah, in the show he does that too.
But I understand. Yeah, in the show he does this too. But I do understand your point that for many people, Chris Evans is Steve Rogers is.
Yeah. No, it's Steve Rogers. It's not Chris Evans. Like, I think you could keep doing. They're gonna go back. There's no way they're not gonna go back. They're gonna do prequels or some kind of like whatever.
They can find a way. Yeah. It's multiverse. I mean, they can find a way.
Yeah.
But it's like the new Guardians. The new Guardians is like fucking point A to fucking point Z, back to fucking point B. It's like,
same thing with Guardians, which by the way was the only really cool Marvel movie in the last couple of years. That was the only one that I really.
Which one?
Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It was.
I didn't watch that one yet. Nah, I was never into Guardians movies, so.
Oh, really, Matt? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, Keith. Sorry. I'm a big fan of Guardians. I like Guardians.
Me too. That movie really.
In fact, Guardians 3, I had to let my kid. I couldn't let him watch it because it's actually a bit more.
It's fucking heavy, dude.
Like it's brutal compared to the first two.
I cried during some moments. I'm not gonna lie. Matt, do you want spoilers? Yes or no?
I don't care.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know.
Yeah, the raccoon guy dies, right?
No, but Dan, I don't know if you know this. The big baddie in the movie.
Yeah.
What's his face? I forgot. The Supreme. No. What's his name? Supreme Intelligence? No.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Anyway, I forgot his name. In the original, they actually filmed this. He doesn't die. He actually is taken captive.
Honestly, my biggest part of the movie that I had a problem with was when fucking Star-Lord is out in space. You're dead. You're dead. There's no coming back from that. Just stop. You are in space. You're literally frozen, blowing up, imploding. You're dead.
Yeah, he's a normal human being. He lives, but Ebony Maw is like a fucking like God, and he just and within a millisecond that motherfucker's dead.
Right.
You know.
High evolutionary. I have to quickly send.
Yeah, but anyway.
A message to.
But anyways, I would encourage anybody watching the stream, just go watch The Flash if you like Keaton.
It's so much better than reviewers said that it was, but it's also a shit movie. This is, by the way, true. Star-Lord isn't human.
Yeah, that's true. I misspoke, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're right though. His
100%.
corporeal he is basically only godlike when he was at Ego's world. So in essence, he is human. He ages like a human. He's vulnerable like a human, and he's only godlike when he was at Ego's world, which kind of blew the fuck up. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna end the live stream because I have work in the morning.
Yeah, I gotta go.
And I am running on fumes. I have had 10 hours of sleep in the last 72 hours or so. So I would like to sort of sleep. So it was fun doing this. I enjoyed doing a live stream for the first time in God knows how long. So thanks you guys for joining. Everybody who joined, everybody who's already gone. It was great talking to you guys. Have a blast. Have a great week. For you guys, have a great Sunday evening because it's about dinner time for you guys, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, so have a fun Sunday evening. Drink a few good beers. Enjoy your chili. Dan, you just fucked off, but I'll see you guys later. So, goodbye. And cheers. Bye-bye.